Hi YouTube and Happy New Year! I know it's been a while, but I just received a new phone from the zopomobileshop.com. This phone is called the Zopo Speed 7 and I thought I'd do a little review for you. Comes in a fancy black box like this one with some specs on the back, and they actually changed the box. On older boxes they made a mistake right here. It also comes with a 1 amp wall charger, a USB data and charging cable, some earphones that I never tested, and last but not least it also comes with some paperwork including a multi-language quick start guide. This phone has a 5-inch capacitive 5-point multi-touchscreen with a 1080 by 1920 Full HD pixel resolution. It is an IPS display, but I'm not so sure if it's a one-glass solution. It has the MT6753 64-bit Octa-Core SoC inside, clocked at 1.3 GHz. It has 3 GB of RAM, 16 GB of internal memory, and it also supports TF cards up to whatever. It runs on Android 5.1 Lollipop. It is a Quadband, it is totally unlocked, and of course it also supports 3G and 4G in either one of the SIM slots. It has Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, AGPS, it also supports GLONASS and Baidu. It has a G sensor, a proximity sensor, a light sensor, a magnetic field sensor, and it also has a notification LED, but it's red only. It also supports USB on the go and firmware updates over the air. It supports hot nod, off-screen gestures and air gestures. It has 2 cameras, one main camera with a 13 megapixel output, autofocus and LED flash, and it's an f2.2, and one selfie cam with a 5 megapixel output and it's an f2.8. This phone of course is a dual SIM, dual standby phone. It weighs about 135 grams and it's about 8.8 millimeters thick. Let's take a closer look at the device. We have the front-facing camera right here, proximity and light sensor right here, and this is your charging and notification LED, but it supports red only. The buttons are on-screen buttons, so there are no physical buttons at all. On the bottom we can see the USB port and the microphone. We have nothing on the left side, and what looks like metal right here is actually all plastic. Right here we have a 3.5mm headphone jack. On the right side we have the power button and a volume rocker. On the back we have the main camera, a single LED flash, the speakers are right here, and if I can get this open for you I can show you the inside. On the inside we can see that it takes 2 micro SIM cards, this is where your TF card goes, and this is a 2500 mAh battery. Like always, I installed additional apps and games for demonstration purposes. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment sections below. And if you'd like to find out more, please stay tuned. The stock launcher is quite fast and snappy. It did not come with any Chinese bloatware pre-installed at all, but it did come with a bunch of Google apps that I usually don't use, stuff like playbooks or play music, but I guess that is not so bad after all. Let's start by going into the settings. Let me scroll all the way down. Let's check out about the phone. Right here we can see that it's running on Android 5.1, and also right here we can find the wireless updates over the air. Back into the settings. Next up, let's check out the languages and input. Let's see which languages are pre-installed on this firmware. Let me just scroll through them so you can see if your native language is supported or not. Now those are all the languages. Next up we have the Smart Wake function. Now these are off-screen gestures. You can, for example, double tap to wake, or you can draw different symbols to start different apps. Let's just give it a try. Let me do a double tap and it's waking up. And also let me draw a C, for example, and a C should start the camera app, and that is also working just fine. Okay, next up we have gesture sensing. Now those are gestures that you can do above the proximity sensor. You can just turn them on or off. For example, you can use them in the gallery, in the camera, in the music app. I think this is total bullshit. I never use that at all. Let's see what else do we have here. Let's check out the storage, and here's the good news. This phone only has one partition, so you can use the entire internal memory for installing apps and games. And of course we have all the dual SIM settings. You can choose which kind of network you prefer, if you prefer 2G, 3G or 4G, and you can freely choose which one of the SIM cards is supposed to be the data SIM card. But if one SIM card is set to 3G or 4G, the other SIM card will automatically be 2G only. We also have the hot nod feature, which I think is pretty much useless. This is pretty much similar to NFC, but it only works with MediaTek CPUs. Let's also go into the display settings. Right here we can see that it also has a Mira or Mira Vision settings right here, which are always nice. You can, for example, go there and set a dynamic contrast, and to me it really makes a difference, so Mira Vision is always nice. That should cover the basic settings. Now let me go into the engineer mode for you. Right here, let's go into the band mode, SIM 1, and we can see that it is a quad band on 2G. Those are all your 3G frequencies, and here are the LTE modes. It supports band 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, also 17, and the very good news is it also supports band 20, which is important for some people in Germany and Europe and other places as well. Now that should cover the basic settings. Let's check out some Google apps. Let's start with YouTube. Let me turn down the volume. It is loading. Let's just play a random video. Let me go into the settings, the quality settings, and right here we can see that a maximum playback of 1080p is supported. So YouTube is working just fine. We can of course also watch in full screen and it's very smooth. So YouTube is no problem at all. Of course the Play Store comes pre-installed and it works perfectly, so no trouble at all. Let's check out Google Maps. It should know my location right here, so the Google location services are working. Let's just go right here and select a random Street View address. Let's check out if Street View is working. Street View is also working fine. We can do a little zooming, and we can also switch into a compass mode, and that tells us that a magnetic field sensor is definitely working on this phone. But I'm also gonna test that with different apps. For example, we have a compass app right here and it's working fine. And we can also go into the sensor box and test some sensors as well. No, we don't want to install anything. We have the accelerometer and it's working fine. We have a light sensor. Let's give that a try. And it's also working fine. We also have an orientation sensor right here. We have the proximity sensor, also working great. And anything else? Of course we have the magnetic field sensor and it's getting readings, so that's also working. And last but not least, of course, we also have a sound sensor, so microphone of course is also working on this phone. Next up, let's check out CPU-Z. We can see that it's running on 1.3 GHz and it has 8 cores. And again, we can check out all the sensors that are supported right here. What else do we have here? We can test the stage fright. And the bad news is this phone is still vulnerable, so let's hope for an update to close the vulnerability. We can also check out the Wi-Fi signal strength, and to give you an idea how good or bad the Wi-Fi signal strength is, let's just compare it to my Xiaomi Mi 4, and as you can see the Wi-Fi reception is very strong on this phone, so I'm very pleased with that. What else do we have here? Let's just check out what Antutu has to say. I'm not gonna run the test, I'm just gonna show you the result. Now it's scored at 36,000, close to 37,000 points. Now that's not exactly a world record, but it should be able to handle pretty much everything you throw at it. So let's see some details. We can see that it's running on Android 5.1 and it's a 64-bit system. We have the CPU and GPU right here. We have 3 GB of internal memory. Let's see the display settings. We can also test a multi-touch right here. And we can see that it's a 5-point multi-touch. I guess that should pretty much do the trick. Let's also check out Nina Mark II. I'm also not going to run the test, I'm just going to show you the result. It's scored at 56.8 frames per second and it's an OpenGL 3.1. Oh, that is not bad at all at this high resolution. And let me just run one more benchmark. Let's go to Quadrant Standard and let's run the full benchmark, and this is boring, so I'm gonna do a jump cut. Almost done. And the score is 19,899 points, which is not bad at all. Let's go back into the launcher. Let's see what else do we have here. Let me just go into the gallery real fast. Let's check out some random pictures. And they're loading fast, and of course we can also watch them in full screen and do a little zooming. And I don't know if you can see this, but the viewing angles on this device are really good, but I'll try to show you that a little later in the video. Let's also go into my test videos. Oh, I'm sorry, I just turned off the screen. Let's test a 1080p video, and of course a 1080p video playback is no problem at all. But I also have a 4K video on this phone, and it's not supported, at least not with the standard video player. Maybe you can do that with different video players, I'm not so sure. Let's also go into the music app to check out how the speaker sounds. Let me just play something right here. Let me turn up the volume. Now the speaker is pretty loud and pretty clear, but it lacks a lot of bass, so that is nothing I can get too excited about. And let's see, what else can I show you. Let me just go into the camera app real fast. Now the camera app has all the standard features, but it also has some goodies like a picture-in-picture mode, and we have a live photo mode, we have a motion tracker, a panorama mode, and we also have a multi-angle view. And of course this phone also supports HDR, and the autofocus can be a little slow at times. It always depends on the light conditions, and the camera I think takes decent pictures, nothing too good but also not too bad. I've seen a lot worse, and it's good enough for some snapshots. I think that pretty much covers it. Now let me tell you what I'm thinking about this phone. Some thoughts about this device. The build quality is good, it feels really solid, but it's all plastic. The display is very nice, a full HD pixel resolution always looks great on a 5-inch device. The colors, contrast, brightness look very good, but it's not the best display I've ever seen. The performance is just okay. It's definitely not a high-end performance, but unless you are a high-end gamer, it should be able to handle pretty much everything else very nicely. 3 GB of RAM is great for multitasking. The Wi-Fi reception is very good. It is pretty much like the Wi-Fi on my Xiaomi Mi 4. The GPS is also very good. It is fast, it is accurate, and thanks to GLONASS and Baidu it is also very stable. I like that this phone has a notification LED, but I wish it would have more colors. The media speaker audio quality is okay, so is the quality through headphones. To me it is nothing to get too excited about. The GSM 3G and 4G reception I would rate as normal, nothing good or bad worth mentioning. The sensors seem to be working well, maybe a gyroscope sensor would have been nice, but I guess that's not really a must-have. The camera picture quality is something you need to judge for yourself. Please make sure to check out some sample pictures on my blog, you can find a link in the video's description. I also like that this phone supports quite a few LTE bands, including band 20. Bottom line, I think this is a nice phone, it does what it's supposed to do, but I simply cannot get too excited about it. To me, this phone is just nothing special, if you know what I mean. But of course, this is just my humble opinion. Last but not least, let me try to show you the viewing angles of this phone and do a little gaming. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you next time.